Try it. If you have a very active wrist, try playing without it. Your consistency will immediately improve. Today, we're going to summarize some common pain points and technical issues for amateur players. Let's start with the forehand stroke mechanics. The first problem is that many players fail to open up their body horizontally for the backswing. For a proper forehand drive, you should open up like this. However, many players don't open up enough. They stand too close to the ball and use a cramped backswing. Players with this habit typically can't generate power and are often forced to rush their contact point. So, remember this key point: your forehand must open up horizontally, then drive forward, and finally finish upward. The motion is from right to left. Executing it this way makes your stroke fluid and coordinated. That's the first major issue. The second problem is a lack of body rotation, causing the arm to simply pull straight back. The shoulder, waist, and legs remain static, only the arm moves. This forces you to hit too early and rush the ball. Your arm ends up staying directly in front of your body. Proper technique involves rotating your torso, allowing your arm to swing naturally with it. Without body rotation, players rush their recovery, leading to an uncontrolled, slapping motion. Keep your racket in front. After the serve, rotate your torso first, then your body, and let your arm follow. The third issue concerns the elbow. During a forehand drive, my elbow should maintain a consistent height. Many players tend to lift their elbow during the stroke, causing them to merely brush the ball instead of driving it. Simply put, you're brushing upward at contact instead of driving forward through the ball. The problem is this: at contact, your elbow is lifting the ball upwards, rather than driving forward into the ball. This is a critical flaw. Many players retract their arm immediately after contact, failing to drive forward. Once this becomes a habit, your loop will only generate upward spin without any forward drive. There's no forward propulsion in the stroke. The only ball you can loop this way is a deep push, where you can use the opponent's incoming pace. Against a slightly shorter ball, your shot will go into the net due to the lack of forward momentum. So let's clarify the elbow's role. During a forehand drive, it should not move up or down. It moves on a horizontal plane. So, does the elbow move? Yes, it moves forward and backward. It does not change its vertical position. That's the first key point. Second, for the loop, the elbow follows the upper arm through the backswing, the forward drive, and the inward follow-through. Feel your elbow propelling the ball forward. For a drive, it's a short forward push. For a loop, it's a longer forward propulsion after a full backswing. Crucially, your elbow must not be locked in a fixed position. The elbow's path is: swing back behind the body, drive forward, and then finish by contracting inward. The trajectory of the stroke is from behind your body to in front. For a drive, it's from the side to the front. These are the common issues with elbow movement. The fourth problem is that many players don't understand the importance of moving into the ball and meeting it in front. For example, on a serve to their forehand, they simply wait for the ball to reach them. When they see a fast, spinny, or low ball, their arm tenses up and the motion stops abruptly. They can't complete the stroke and end up backing away from the table as they hit. Remember this: in both forehand and backhand offense, you must have an aggressive, counter-attacking mindset. What does this mean? When your opponent attacks with power, don't back off. Instead, hold your ground and use a more compact stroke to block. Against shots of this quality, often the only pressure is what you put on yourself. I can return this with a very short backswing. The key is to move into the ball. Even when defending, you must play into the ball. Whether you're blocking, driving, looping, or lifting backspin, you must always move into the ball. Even if your opponent's shot is very fast, you still have to engage it. The common mistake is to back away, and that's how you lose the point. What does it mean to move into the ball? It means your forearm cannot stop at contact. It must continue moving forward. In a defensive block, the forearm moves forward. In an attacking stroke, it moves forward and upward. No matter how fast the ball is, your defensive block must move forward. You absolutely must execute this forward swing. You need to have a counter-attacking instinct. Otherwise, every shot from your opponent will feel too fast for you. If he's fast, I'll be faster. If he uses power, I'll absorb it. If he plays soft, I'll add power. My stroke always moves into the ball, making my return a threat. Otherwise, you're just passively blocking, letting your opponent dictate the rally. This is a mindset issue. Next is the problem of the outer arc of the swing. Many players make this mistake. Let me explain how to create the correct outer arc. It's not about drawing a big circle behind you. The correct arc starts close to your body, moving from behind you to your side. This is the first small semicircle. The second semicircle is created by moving forward into the ball. The swing path is not generated from the side of or behind your body. When you start the backswing close to your body, you naturally create an arc. After contact, you guide the ball forward and then to the left. Combining these two semicircles creates the complete outer arc. That's how it's formed. You don't start making the arc at the very beginning of your backswing, that prevents solid contact with the ball. The whole stroke structure should be like this. Keep in mind points A, B, and C of the swing we talked about before. The problem is that point A is in the wrong position. If your point A follows a straight line back from the ball, you can't create the outer arc later. Just drawing a circle isn't enough. Point A must start close to your body. The path from A to B already forms a small, arcing semicircle. From point B to point C, the motion from outside to inside creates another arc. This is my point A. I find point B through a semicircle. After B, I must drive forward, then carry the ball from B to my finishing point C. This arc, which is created after contact, should be in front and to your right. This is what we call extension and contraction. Think about it. At point B, where is your hand? Is it too close to your body, too far away, too far forward, or too far back? Getting point B right is crucial. The old coaching method was to draw the racket straight back along the ball's path, but that technique is outdated. Because with a straight backswing, if the opponent's shot is fast or deep, you just collide with it, creating a loud, flat-hitting sound. But if I use the correct arc, I can produce a high-quality loop without that loud sound. The ball isn't hit flat. It's wrapped or rolled over. This technique is much more consistent, even when you're moving your feet. I believe most players have incorrect A and B points, which causes point C, the follow-through, to be inconsistent and end up in the wrong place. The sixth problem is that many players can't stop their forehand stroke properly. There's no clean finish. As I told my student today, the start and end points of your stroke are the most important things in table tennis. For example, if your destination is City A, you should stop there. But many players go past City A and end up in City B. If you finish your swing too late, you'll start making errors. Other players stop too early, before City A, and then add an extra upward lift. The motion is not fluid, there's always an extra, unnecessary movement. In contrast, a professional stroke has a clean start and a clean finish. It's like getting off a train. If you're still grabbing your luggage when you should be off, the train leaves with you. We must avoid these secondary movements, like an extra flick or a little loop at the end of the stroke. These habits destroy your consistency in a match. This mistake is especially obvious when players try to hit with power. Why are power shots so prone to error? Because it's about controlling momentum, which you're failing to do. When he hits hard, the lack of control is clear. He doesn't stop at the end point and lets his arm drop, because he can't hit the brakes. It's like sprinting, you're supposed to stop at a line, but your momentum carries you past it. You can't brake in time. Because the ping-pong ball is so light, this lack of control will ruin the ball's trajectory. So you must learn to brake. For topspin or backspin, it doesn't matter exactly where you stop, a little higher or lower is fine, but you must stop the motion cleanly. When I stop my stroke cleanly, the arc is stable. If I can't stop it, the shot becomes unstable. Why does the ball go into the net? Because just as the arc is beginning to form, he presses down on it. Right when the ball is rising and needs to be propelled forward and up over the net, he forces it downward. So the trajectory goes up, but then drops sharply into the net. You have to lift and stabilize the arc. Let me demonstrate slowly for you. The escorting phase of the stroke must be long. You can't just hit it and stop. The ball is still on your racket, and you have a chance to lift it higher. You have to escort the ball. Think of it as a VIP you're escorting home safely. You can't just say, go on, get home by yourself. You have to think, be careful, make sure you get there safely. One last point, the reason for inconsistency in the forehand is often due to too much incorrect wrist movement. When they start their loop, they either push with the wrist first or flick the wrist up first. I'm exaggerating slightly, but some players flick their wrist up at the beginning of the stroke. So, does the wrist move? Yes, it does. But during the backswing, it must be relaxed and pointing down. Right before contact, the shoulder and elbow are still pointing down. The wrist only engages at the moment of contact. The wrist action is a forward drive. It is not an upward lift, a forward push, or a flick. You are pressing forward through the ball. It's like you're pressing on the ball and driving it forward with spin. There should be no premature upward flicking or pushing. Before you make contact, your wrist and forearm should be in a straight line. As I prepare to hit the ball, I use a quick finger snap forward, keep my wrist firm, and drive my forearm. You absolutely cannot let your wrist be too loose or whippy. Most errors come from this. Try it. If you have a very active wrist, try playing without it. Your consistency will immediately improve. You can loop a backspin ball without using your wrist. It just won't have as much spin, but your arm can still lift it. So before contact, the wrist and forearm are in one line. Don't let it move around. At the moment of contact, the fingers provide a little forward brush on the ball. Then you stabilize it, finish the arm swing, and you're done. This way, you can guarantee a much more stable and consistent shot.